As the great Olivia Newton-John says best, let me see your body talk. The past couple months, I've been studying nonverbal communication and body language extensively. And through my research, I developed my thesis statement. One can more accurately determine someone's true emotions through looking at their body language. Now, what is body language? The first thing I feel the need to mention when describing body language is that body language and nonverbal communication are two different things, although they're often grouped together. Nonverbal communication is an action, such as opening a door or giving someone a thumbs up, meant to convey a certain sentiment, versus body language, which is gestures or poses such as pacing back and forth or crossing your arms. Body language is basically subconscious nonverbal communication, the things we're feeling but not saying and how they translate to our physical posture. So, many in the scientific community were skeptical of body language for quite a long time. In fact, body language wasn't really accepted as a form of psychology until about 10 years ago. The problem many scientists had with body language is that it could only be observed using the human eye, which can always make mistakes and overlook minuscule patterns that could hold valuable information. So, a study done by Stanford in July of 2014 changed the game completely. Jeremy Valenson, an associate professor in the communications department, and Andrea Stevenson-Wan, a communications doctoral student, had the idea to use Stanford's Virtual Human Interaction Lab common video game cameras, putting the cameras in front of each participant while running the experiment, with the camera taking about 30 frames per second. So this produced an immense amount of data. So what'd they do with it all? The researchers put it through a machine learning model trained to objectively identify patterns that might sneak past the human eye. In this particular experiment, Stanford was studying one's body language when learning new information and teaching someone new information, mostly looking for patterns in how two people work together in a student-teacher setting. The results of the experiment were that a person's shoulder and head movements can indicate their creative output or their ability to learn. Now, the impact of this study is pretty substantial for multiple reasons. One, they found a way to quantify nonverbal communication, so it's no longer just perception. And two, the researchers found a unique way of seeing if people will work well creatively with one another. Now, a large part of understanding body language is understanding where it comes from. According to Mark Bowen, body language and human behavior expert, body language stems from our innate instincts to stay alive, reproduce, and protect the ones we love. All of body language stems from those three vital parts of being a mammal. So, when a person is feeling defensive or threatened, they revert back to their animal-like instincts to protect themselves. Now, most mammals used to walk on all fours with their stomachs to the ground. This made sure all of their vital organs were safely protected by the hard surface beneath them. Then, as humans evolved and started walking on two legs, their most important organs were no longer guarded and could easily be harmed by any other creature. So, this presents itself in one's body language. When a person is feeling threatened, they will subconsciously cover their stomach or chest, because that is an area where they are vulnerable. A similar body language response is to cover the neck. You can still see this when animals fight. They always lower their chin and prepare for a possible attack. Now, how do you read someone's body language? A sizable part is being familiar with some of the gestures and poses. In the world of nonverbal communication, there are generally two different types of gestures and poses. There is negative body language and positive body language. So, let's go over some of the negative ones to start. My pal Seth here is going to help me demonstrate them. Covering the neck and torso, as I was just saying. These are both negative poses that show discomfort, self-consciousness, and anxiety. Now, crossing of the legs and arms. There are many different versions of these, each meaning something a little different. So, crossing your legs and putting your arms behind your head. This is a very aggressive and hostile position, and can be extremely off-putting, especially to women. Now, when someone has their arms crossed and they're holding their biceps, that is a sign that they're feeling a negative emotion such as sadness or insecurity. If one's legs are crossed and they're holding their top leg, they're likely to be feeling fairly stubborn and will most likely reject any idea you put towards them. These are all things to look out for when trying to detect how someone is feeling. Now, most positive body language gestures are the exact opposite of the negative ones. For instance, if one has their feet planted firmly on the ground, shoulder width apart, and their hands by their sides, that is a symbol that that person is feeling fairly confident and ready for whatever will come their way. Another positive body language example is eye contact. In a one-on-one conversation, people should be reciprocating the amount of eye contact they're getting from whoever they're speaking with. It's a sign that that person is attentively listening and engaged in the conversation. Now, if one's legs are openly crossed and their top leg is pointing towards another, this is a sign that they're interested in that person and what they're saying, and they don't necessarily want to leave the conversation. This is most common with men. Generally, their feet point at whatever they want or wherever they want to go. Generally, if one's body language is open, meaning no limbs are crossed or covering their body, they're most likely in a positive mood. Looking out for these subtle cues may help you in better understanding the people around you. Thanks, Seth. A strong component of my thesis is a study done by Princeton University in January of 2013. Researchers found that we can more accurately determine when someone is feeling a strong emotion from their body language over facial expression alone, although most people still only rely on the face. So the team at Princeton experimented with this in a few different ways. In 4 different experiments, participants were given full body images of a person experiencing a strong emotion, such as victory, loss, or pain. Then the participants were tasked to determine the emotion pictured by using facial expression, body language, or from both. In all 4 experiments, participants more accurately guessed the emotion pictured by using body language cues. You see, what happens to one's face when feeling a strong emotion is much like what happens when you turn the volume all the way up on a speaker. It just becomes muffled and unclear. Princeton professor of psychology Alexander Todorov said this in regards to the experiment's results. People can't tell the difference, although they think they can. Subjectively, people think they can tell the difference, but objectively, they're at total random chance of determining correctly. The message of this research is that there's a lot of information in body language that people aren't necessarily aware of. So, another large part of body language that is studied and taught is the subject of lying. People always want to know if someone is lying to them. There are professionals who make their living using their astute ability to spot a lie. These people study for years and years to build up their observation skills. The most common place you'll see lie detection used in is the FBI. When interrogating suspects in high-profile cases, the FBI will bring in someone known as a counterintelligence officer. The officer will go into the interrogation and ask the suspect a number of questions, starting with something as simple as, "What is your name?" and gradually getting more and more specific with questions pertaining to the case. Now, those first few questions may seem insignificant, but in reality are one of the most important parts of lie detection. They're what's known as baseline questions. The purpose of these questions are to allow the officer to see one's regular behavior around questions the suspect has no reason to lie about. So, after the counterintelligence officer is done with questioning, they will watch the taped interrogation over and over again, looking for subtle cues and tells they may have missed while they were in the room. From just a blink of an eye or a twitch of a foot, a counterintelligence officer can tell if you're lying. Now, there's a few things to look out for when you're trying to spot a liar. Liars are almost always solely focused on their verbal communication, which means they hardly pay attention to what the rest of their body is doing. A common trait you will see in liars is when they're verbalizing a yes or no answer and their body language contradicts themselves. For example, if you were to ask someone if they like your new shirt, they may say the word yes, but in reality disagree. They may physically shake their head no, while verbally telling you they love it. Something like, "Hey, do you like my new shirt?" And they go, "I love it." I've gotten that a few times. There's also something in lying known as a hotspot. These are places to pay special attention to when you think somebody may be stretching the truth. So, one hotspot is when somebody touches the side of their forehead. This is known as a gesture of shame. So, if you were to ask someone something like, "Oh, did you finish all your schoolwork on time?" And they go, "Yeah, it's all done." Maybe something a little fishy going on there. The next hotspot is the lips. Many seal their lips or press them together before saying something that is a lie. People do this as a subconscious reaction to make sure they don't blurt out whatever they're thinking. Another hotspot is the shoulders. People tend to shrug whenever they're saying something that they personally don't believe. Something like, "Oh, how was your day?" Somebody may respond with, "Oh yeah, it's pretty good." So, these are all subtle cues that you can look out for when trying to spot a liar. So, in conclusion, whatever in life you may be trying to accomplish through communication, you should pay more attention to the body language of yourself and others. If you're trying to make a good first impression, you can know how to use your positive body language and understand why we use our negative body language. Humans are animals and still act like them in our basic selves, which I think is really important for us to remember in our daily interactions with others. So, the next time you think you know the whole truth to how someone's feeling, take a broader look than just focusing on their facial expression. It is proven proven that one can more accurately determine someone's true emotions through looking at their body language.